Up until today, I have talked about entrapment, prejudice, and the 6 limits. Today I want to talk about how the true ego falls into delusions and sinks into illusions. A few days ago I conducted a telepathy experiment with a young man. The purpose of the experience was to give him the age of his girlfriend. I already knew how old she was, but she hid her age from him because she was worried that she was older than him. One day he asked me, "Tell me, how old is she?" I decided to satisfy his interest by getting her permission beforehand. In my opinion, it is quite unnatural to hide your age from those with whom you communicate. I decided to let him know this through telepathy. He was a fairly advanced practitioner, so he was able to accept the number I telepathically transmitted to him, which was her age. However, he could not believe the number he accepted because it was beyond his idea of her age. It was so difficult for him to believe it that he decided he was mistaken. In short, he rejected the number. The point of this example is that we perceive all phenomena based on our past experiences and our fixed ideas. Yesterday I talked about prejudice. Now I gave an example of how fixed ideas prevented telepathic communication with me. There is a universal source of deity in the causal world. This is the so-called data bank. Having attained enlightenment, we can receive any information from it at any time. However, an unenlightened person cannot read the data specifically sent from there. This is because fixed ideas, as in the aforementioned case of the telepathic seance, distort or reject them. Because of preconceived workings of the mind or because of attachments, one loses the ability to perceive this data accurately. Pure water reflects everything exactly as it is. And one must make the soul as pure as water. Purification of the soul implies a return of the true ego to its original state. That is, ridding the true ego of its delusions and eliminating its illusions. This is the process of enlightenment. Now I would like to talk a little bit about the obstacles to enlightenment. For example, there are often people who have a strong sense of pride. Suppose Mrs. A is a proud woman. She wants everyone to know, "This is my way, and this is how I live my life." Of course, she is full of desires. For example, to win everyone's respect. If a man comes along who hurts her sense of pride, Madam A will persistently fight against him. Madam A does this because her pride is so strong. However, this pride prevents enlightenment. Do you understand why? For example, Madam A probably looks down on everything. If so, she cannot see things as they are. By placing herself in an environment in which she can only satisfy her pride, she is unable to think about self-improvement. Then she cannot even come close to enlightenment. So what happens if her pride is destroyed? If her pride is hurt, the woman will become angry. But what happens if her pride is destroyed completely? In most cases, she will fall into self-deprecation. Don't you agree? And in her self-deprecation, Mistress A will begin to look down on everything. In addition, she will become passive. Thus, even then, she will not be able to perceive things as they are. Naturally, she will eventually drift away from enlightenment. So we should not fall into either pride or self-deprecation. Attachment is also one of the obstacles that must be removed if we seek enlightenment. Let me consider attachment to a person as an example. Okay? Suppose a person with an attachment runs an organization. In that case, he promotes people he likes. It doesn't matter to him whether they have the ability and talent or not. Conversely, he fires people he has no affection for, even if the employee is talented and needed by the organization. What does this lead to? The development of an organization that can and should grow will be halted. The manager, of course, will be pleased with himself, but he cannot be said to be performing his duties well. Next, let us consider what is the opposite of attachment. Let us think of a man who is incapable of loving anyone. He is very cold, does not believe in anything, and denies everything. This is the opposite of attachment. Suppose he runs an organization. Of course, He may have the ability to see the situation. He thinks, Mr. A has good character, but he is incompetent. Mr. B doesn't have a good character, but he is necessary to this organization. Mrs. A is beautiful, but her beauty is irrelevant in this case. Although Mrs. B is not pretty, I should promote her in this case. So far so good. Right? However, no matter who he decides to hire, none of these people will go to him, neither A nor B first, because there is no love in him. They will feel the coldness in his every word. A coldness will enter into the souls of these people, who always hear negative words. Naturally, A and B will walk away from such a cold leader. Both of the types of people I just mentioned, the one with attachment and the one without love, are very far from achievement, because when one comes to achievement, he gains the ability to love everyone and see things right. So, you must have realized that enlightenment, achievement, guarantees happiness not only in the next life but also in this life. The ability to love everyone and to see phenomena accurately is a prerequisite for finding happiness quickly. By referring to various examples, we have considered the conditions necessary for attaining enlightenment. Let's try to summarize them. The basic pillars include the following. 1. Break down fixed ideas. 2. Discard attachments. 3. Treat all people with love. 4. Overcome pride. Today I talked about these 4 conditions. The order does not matter. They are all equally important. And now for one more pillar that I haven't mentioned until now. So, let's add it. It is not to give in to anger. All the same, anger prevents proper consideration and proper evaluation of things. If we choose to walk the Bodhisattva path, we need to attain higher siddhi, supernatural abilities, and eventually attain liberation. However, it is also necessary to attain enlightenment. We become a true saviors when we attain both enlightenment and liberation. Does this make sense? Higher siddhi is necessary to see things correctly, to see their deeper meaning. But higher siddhi alone is not enough. Because with supernatural powers alone, one is not able to understand correctly what one has seen. Therefore, enlightenment is also necessary. Only by combining liberation and enlightenment can we save people. Bringing people into a world of true freedom, true happiness and joy is the salvation we seek. Meditation that brings happiness. It seems we have a little more time, and I would like to teach you the meditation technique that will lead you to enlightenment and at the same time make you happy in this world. I have already said that gaining the ability to love all people, as well as the ability to perceive all things correctly, leads one quickly to happiness. I want to tell you about a meditative technique to reach this state, or the 4 great unmeasurable soul states. The reason I have chosen this topic today is that you are a lay practitioner. That is, I think you want to be happy in your ordinary life as well. The first thing you need to learn is to perceive all people and everything around you equally. Suppose you're walking down the street and you see someone being carried away on a stretcher to an ambulance. When you see this and are convinced that the victim is not your father or your mother, you will probably lose all interest in it. However, think about this. Although this person is not related to you in this life, he or she may have been your father or mother in one of your past lives. Or, rather, you may think that all souls were once your parents, since you have gone through a cycle of countless lives since the beginningless past, haven't you? If so, then you should love everyone just as you love your parents in this life. If we can realize this, we can cry for everyone who is suffering. Even if someone we don't know argues or quarrels with someone we love, we can still figure out which one of them is right. That's what impartiality is all about. It is based on equal love, equal compassion for all beings, and joy shared equally among all. The 4 great immeasurable states of the soul, viz., love, compassion, praise, and impartiality, indifference, are inseparable. Unless you master impartiality as the foundation, unless you can love everyone equally, you cannot put into practice true love, you cannot have true compassion, and you cannot truly share joy with others. When you perfectly master the practice of the 4 great immeasurable soul states, you will find happiness in this world. For the Bodhisattvas of the Great Chariot, for us Bodhisattvas who have made the great vow, I will bring all souls to Mahayana. The 4 measures are necessary. Moreover, without the 4 measures, there can be no Bodhisattva. Bodhisattvas don't need pride. They don't need self-deprecation or fixed ideas. They have a dispassionate attitude toward everything, equally loving and compassionate toward all beings, and equally sharing joy with all. This is the kind of practice the Bodhisattvas need. With the practice of the 4 measures, you should acquire the Bodhisattva soul and engage in salvation. Regarding the method of salvation, first, get people to trust you. You should begin by gaining trust. There are 2 ways to do this. The first is to cure people of disease, and the second is to relieve them of mental suffering. By helping people in this way first, help them get on the path that leads to beautiful worlds. This will be possible when you attain both enlightenment and liberation. To achieve this goal, my students practice 1. The 6 limits. 2. Meditation that eradicates worldly desires. 3. Meditation on the 4 great immeasurable states of the soul. This concludes today's conversation. This is not a commercial project. For as many people as possible to come across this information, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment of 8 words or more.